Hey, this is Knife Standards. Today I'm going to be doing my full review of the Asher Knives Spiro. I still haven't decided. I'm going to call it the Spiro. And it is in carbon fiber, and this is the version with the opening hole. There is another version of the Spiro, I really got to decide, that does not have the hole. So this is the latest version of the Spiro, and I'm sticking with Spiro for the rest of this video, so bear with me. But this is just a really, really awesome knife. I've enjoyed this a lot, and I've enjoyed this more so than the titanium Spiro with the hole, which I had and then sold. So we will get into all of that in just a second, but first, please follow me at Knife Standards. You can follow me on Instagram, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for a lot more knife content and weekly knife reviews. So I had the titanium version, and it was a titanium frame lock. It was just a little bit hard to use for me, for my hand, for my feel. The titanium frame lock, it was just a little bit, I'm trying to think of the right word, like a little bit temperamental. The detent, the lock bar pressure, flicking it out. I know a lot of people that just absolutely loved it, so hey, it might just be me. But for me, it just didn't really connect. So I saw this one go up. It was a small drop of carbon fiber nested liner lock versions, and I thought, all right, I'll give it a try. And you can't go wrong for, I think it's like, I don't know, $85 to $100. I think all of his knives are right around that mark, that kind of $60 to $100, $80 to $100. I don't think any of them are over 100, and if they are, they're just barely. But he keeps all of his stuff right around that price point. And Asher Knives is a budget knife company, like budget line of knives, and they do some really incredible stuff for $85 or $100. For less, let's just say for less than $100, this is an incredible knife. If you guys want the Cliff Notes, what do I think of this? I love it. I only have one or two critiques really, and I think those might get sorted out in the next couple versions of this knife or the next couple runs. Because right now it seems like he is doing these kind of small, at least they seem to me, I don't have any insider info, they just seem to me like these small batches of his different variations and his different models. And then he makes changes to the next batch, and then another small batch, he makes a couple more changes, and he keeps kind of rolling them out like that, which I actually think is really cool, because there's definitely something that kind of, I don't know, at least for me, that rubs me the wrong way when companies or designers or makers come out with, you know, whatever it is, 300 or 500 of the knife, and then they want to change something, and then they have to, you know, let's say they're working with an OEM, they have to wait another 4 months for prototypes to see if the change is what they want. Then they have to wait another, depending on the company, 4 to 10 months for the production run. And by the time you get around to it again, it's been like a year for one or two little changes. So it's cool that he's able to do that and just kind of push out these little adjustments and changes in these smaller batches. Again, I don't know what the numbers are. I'm just guessing that they are smaller batches because they're coming out so frequently, but who knows? Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the knife, the specs, all of that stuff. And we will talk about the upsides, the downsides, and everything that I have enjoyed about the Spiro. So let's go ahead and talk materials first. We have carbon fiber. It's this kind of classic weave carbon fiber. Feels amazing. I really like not only the look, I have a soft spot for this kind of classic weave carbon fiber look. And I know some people kind of rag on it and they don't like it. They prefer their marble carbon fiber, or, you know, something like that. Or fat carbon. You know, there's a lot of new kind of fancy carbon fiber colors and mixtures, which I think are great, but sometimes it's nice to just have this classic weave. So carbon fiber, it is a liner lock, nested liner lock. So that just means that the lock bar, the lock disengagement kind of sits into the scale. There's a little lock stick. It kind of sits into the scale, and you don't have that liner kind of poking out all the way down to the end of the clip into the backspacer. So just that little section sticks out. What else? Blade steel, what do we got? S35VN, very solid for a budget blade. Great steel. It's a steel that is on a lot of higher end models. S35VN was on Chris Reeve knives for years and years and years. So it's, and those are, $400, $500. So it's pretty wild that now S35VN is on a less, sub $100 budget knife. As far as the blade finish goes, we got a nice stonewash. Stonewash blade finishes are not my favorite thing, but definitely keeps the cost down. It's user friendly. You're not going to get any big scratches or dings because there are already these little scratches and dings on there because it was tumbled with stones, with rocks. So I actually like that. I like it's a very user friendly, comfortable finish. Carbon fiber, stonewash S35VN. You see the Asher Knives logo. Minimal billboarding, pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and talk about action. The action is great. For me, this solved all the issues I had with the frame lock Spiro, which was, a temperamental lock bar. The detent was really good, but you couldn't always get that consistent, oh my God, you can thumb flick this, hold on, there we go. You couldn't always get that consistent middle finger flick because, maybe I just have fat fingers, but I couldn't always get the consistent middle finger flick because you're touching the lock bar. It was a little bit sensitive. It was also extremely thin, which this one is too, very thin, but I just couldn't quite get the right feel to have that consistent opening on the frame lock. This has solved those issues. Of course, it is a liner lock, so there is no lock bar pressure. You can bear down as much as you want, and it's not going to affect the opening or the flick or the thumb roll, however you're going to open it. So yes, you can middle finger flick it. That is what it's made for, as far as I'm concerned. You can also thumb flick it. Works really well. And you can also slow roll it, which I actually have been doing lately, carrying this the last couple days. I think the old school kind of slow roll is making a comeback. It's a little bit underrated. So we have some really smooth drop and a shake or two action, and really well dialed in detent. Again, Asher Knives, I'm not sure who was making the parts or who was doing the OEMing before. I heard that he was getting the parts in and then assembling them himself and kind of matching up the parts. And then I heard it was an OEM that was doing it. I don't know. But now he's having these made by Kunwu, who it's not always my style, Kunwu's stuff, especially their own designs. But they do some damn good work. And I had the Mini Tau. I think that's the only one that I've owned. But I'm glad to see that they're doing great work for Asher and pumping these out. Let's go ahead and check the edge, see what's been happening with this guy, how it's held up. Yeah, to be expected. Yeah, not bad. Pretty solid. I got to carry this for... I think carried it for a few days and then got distracted with a bunch of other stuff and then carried it for another day or two leading up to this review. So let's go ahead and do a quick size comparison, see how it stacks up. We got the RR on deck. And we also, I'll throw in the Wee Banter. It's kind of chilling on my desk. Got kind of like a small, medium, large. And let's see how they measure up. Wee Banter, just under 3 inches and 6.5, little guy. Then we have the Asher, so just a little bit over 3 inches, 3 inches of cutting edge, and then about 7.25 or so overall length. And of course, the RR, about 3.5 on the blade. really you get about 3 or so of cutting edge, and then 8 almost on the dot for overall length. So you can see, you know, this is a very EDC friendly size. I would consider it a medium size, nice medium maybe. And this guy, of course, is small. And this really is kind of becoming my EDC size, my preference. This 8 inches overall, about 3.5 on the blade. Man. Anyway, the RRs are available for pre-order, so definitely check out the link in the description of this video. Back to the Spiro. So I've been talking about a lot of things that I love about this knife. The materials are great. I do like the finish. The action is awesome. Now we come to, oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. I think the backspacer is actually G10, which I neglected to mention. You can see the little difference in the material. Carbon fiber, G10, carbon fiber. Doesn't bother me at all. I think that's fine. And now it's time to get into the stuff that I don't like, the downsides. Let's get into the downsides. So number one is the clip. And 2 things I want to mention. 3 things. I really did not like the clip on the titanium Spiro. It was super stiff and, for me, uncomfortable, really hard to get in and out of pocket. On this guy, it's much, much easier to get in and out of pocket. Do I like the design of the clip? No, I do not. This little indent, dip, valley, whatever you want to call it, it just drives me nuts. If it was, you know, a straighter, I mean, to me, both of these clips are just, I don't know. Just not my thing. Personally, I don't get it. But I mean, if they put a wire clip, I know people hate on the wire clips, but man, if there was a wire clip on this, holy crap, that would be like the ultimate, like, inexpensive, light carry. That would be one of my favorite carries if you put a wire clip on this. Anyway, but so this has been more enjoyable to carry than the frame lock, titanium frame lock, because there's just a little bit more give. It's been easier in and out of pocket. Now, having said that, you can reverse the clip. There's a filler tab here, so it is reversible. I think that's cool for a lot of people, lefties. You know, you guys have something made just for you. No, that D10 is great. Anyway, so lefties, you got the filler tab, reversible clip. The clip kind of sucks, in my opinion. But Astro just came out with the Shorty Clip, which is a clip replacement, and it's not this goofy long one. It's actually a shorter. It looks like it's better. I haven't tried it. I haven't handled a Shorty Clip, but for me, just from what I've seen, it looks like it would be great. At least a big step up from this. Unfortunately, the Shorty Clip does not fit the carbon fiber model. I think it fits the titanium one, if I recall correctly. There was one more that it fits, but you cannot put the Shorty Clip on here. And I think the Shorty Clips also went super fast. I think he dropped a batch of them and then whew, they were gone. But I think that's cool that he's looking into other options. I would assume I'm not the only person that has talked about the clip. I don't know. I haven't watched any other videos on Astro Knives. I think I've seen Lefty EDC do a few, but I don't think he minds this clip. I don't know. I don't remember. So that is a step in the right direction. The alternative clip, the Shorty Clip, if there were wire clips on this, boom, that would be amazing. Action is great. Materials, super good for a sub $100 knife. Now, the other kind of wonky thing about this knife, which to me doesn't bother me. It did aesthetically at first, but it doesn't bother me at all now that I've carried it and used it, is the hole is just really big. It's really big. I know there's a joke in there somewhere, but the hole, it's just a rather large, spidey flicking opening hole. And I think it looks a little funny just because the blade is rather narrow, or maybe it just looks narrow because the hole is so big, but it almost doesn't fit. But then you look at it, you're like, no, it does fit. I think when you unbox it, when you first look at it, you're like, that's a little silly. But the more I've used this knife, the more I've handled it, the more I have gotten used to this larger than normal opening hole. So not a big deal to me. And the last two little critiques, one of them, which I know is stupid, I know, is the box. And you just can't get the bottom of the box out. You gotta kind of dig your fingernail in there, and then yeah, I gave up. Anyway, that's a bummer because I remember on the other version of this, the box was kind of like that magnetic kind of folding box. I'm not super picky when it comes to packaging, but if the packaging is difficult to open, it kind of bugs me. The other final last critique is this. I mean, just from there, you're like, what is that? Yeah, that's the liner lock. And they have this extension, which I'm assuming is to make it easier to disengage. But what ends up happening for me is I actually slip off of it. Now, would it be harder to disengage if it was not that proud and pronounced? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure what the solution is to that exactly. If it was me, I would shorten this, put a little bit of texture, kind of like this. The banter is out. See? So there's plenty of texture. I have no issue at all disengaging that with the banter. But I would put some texture in there, and then the banter just barely sticks out, and then this thing is like, boom. So anyway, again, not a huge deal, but these are little tiny details that I think could be improved for the next batch of these, or the next version. It's just a little bit too much for me, the liner lock sticking out, the liner kind of, because it ends up being more slippery than I think it would be if it just had a little bit of texture and was reduced by, I don't know, a millimeter, maybe. So it kind of sits into the scale. But I think that just about wraps it up for any kind of small critiques that I had. You know, I did this a little bit for my unboxing, first impressions, where, you know, I start handling this knife and critiquing it, and I think, man, this should have this, and I want it to be that, and this and that. And I think, oh, wait a second, this thing is less than $100. For sub $100 knife, this thing is phenomenal. Really damn good. And it's so good that you start to think about it in a higher tier of knives, in like a 250, 260, or even low 200s, but that's double the price of what it actually costs, $200. Even if this was for $200, people would buy that. And you start to critique it like it's in the higher price category, in the higher price tier, and then you kind of remember, wait a second, this is a $100 knife or less. So for what it costs, it is just outstanding, phenomenal work, phenomenal materials. Kunwu did a great job with this. Could there be some jimping up here? Yes, definitely. Overall, really solid, especially for the price. And I would love to, I know his thing is budget, but I would love to see just a little bit more premium version of this, or you know, just a little upgrade, and see how he can kind of push it to the next tier. I'm not saying he needs to. He can stick with the budget stuff. I've been really enjoying it. And there was another, I think it was the Nomad that I had in. I just did a quick video on that because it wasn't really for me. I didn't buy it for myself. But man, that thing just crapped all over the bug out. So he's definitely on the right track with these knives. They are super popular. I don't think this is in stock, but I did hear that the titanium ones are coming back in stock soon. So definitely check it out. This has been Knife Standards. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you later.